Your AI tools aren't making you tired because you're working too hard. They're making you tired because you just got promoted and nobody told you. You went from an individual contributor to manager overnight. You're not writing code anymore, you're managing instances. You're hovering over Claude Code with 4 terminal windows open thinking, which one do I run first? And all that mental load, that constant context switching in your own brain, this is the new work. The exhaustion is just the job now. And most founders are burning out trying to plug in API keys, chase subscriptions, and copy-paste secret keys into tools that are already behind a paywall by the time Claude even finishes its sentence. You're spending more energy on the plumbing than on the building, and the plumbing is leaking. The real unlock isn't working harder inside your AI stack, it's removing every single point of friction between your idea and execution. So the only thing standing between you and the output is the quality of your thinking. So if all the friction disappeared tomorrow and your tools just worked, would your ideas be good enough to fill that silence? Welcome to AI for Founders, I'm Ryan Estes. My guest today is Mitchell Jones, founder of Lava, a Yale grad, Forbes 30 under 30 honoree, and the guy building an invisible payment layer that powers the AI web. This one's for founders who are shipping AI products and want to stop leaving money on the table, or stop spending money they shouldn't have to. The AI for Founders newsletter at aiforfounders.co is where founders go when they're tired of being the last to know. Every week I'm dropping tools, frameworks, and conversations like this one so you walk in already warmed up. Go get it at aiforfounders.co before your competitor does. If this episode made you think, please leave us a review because 5 stars won't write themselves and neither will your margins. And finally, if you're a founder or an expert who wants to be a guest on shows like this one, you need to talk to Kitcaster. They are the premier podcast booking agency connecting brilliant minds with the right audiences. No cold pitching, no guessing, just targeted placements that build your brand and grow your business. Check them out at kitcaster.com. That's Kitcaster by Moburst. All right, Mitchell, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk to you. Your product is really on the cutting edge of what people are looking for right now and very germane to the conversations we have. Pricing is always a topic of consideration. The different models, whether it's token-based, if it's outcome-based, is it subscription, is it a classic SaaS play? So I think this is going to be very relevant and probably very useful for a lot of folks. So give us a breakdown real quick of Lava.
Yeah, well, hello everyone. My name is Mitchell. I'm the founder of Lava. And what we do at a very, very high, simple level is make it easy for 2 groups of people to work very well together. We make it easy for end users of AI apps to be able to call any service or provider, whether that's a model provider or an API, be able to use it on a usage basis. So imagine you want to use Notion or Slack or GPT or whatever tool you want. You can add our AI gateway to your Claude Code instance, your GPT instance, and no connecting MCPs, no secret keys, no things like that. You can use it immediately. On the flip side, for merchants or for folks who are selling services and providing, we make it very, very easy for you to get paid by agents and other AI services and other users of your services. No need for wallets, no need for simple things. As long as you have APIs, we help you monetize those APIs. You can set any pricing you'd like, whether that's token markups, whether it's usage-based, outcomes-based, and it works existing with your existing stack. No new tools. Our goal is to just make it so that agents that are already trying to access your service can access your service, but also so that you can get paid for it. And so we're just trying to help you convert new users and new traffic.
Amazing. I love it. Okay. So 2 use cases. Let's go to the first one first,
Yep.
which is basically I want usage-based payments. Lava takes care of that. Is that to say then that like my Claude Pro subscription, I don't need that anymore? Does it kind of bypass the monthly service cost that they're getting you to subscribe to?
The real thing is that they're complementary. So the way most people use AI these days is Claude Code, Codex, Cursor, it's actually becoming your command center. So that is your base agent. And from that agent, you can do a lot of things. You can write code. You can read emails. You can send Slack requests. You can look at financial data. You can access information. But if you want to be able to use it to do all of those things, most of those things are behind a paywall. What we do is you can add our Lava MCP and you can have access to all of those paid services. You don't have to have all of these like complex things that usually engineers are familiar with, like secret keys and signing up for new subscriptions and all those things. You just download our MCP, put money into your Lava wallet, and you access all of those services. So for that use case, you can almost think about us like an AI service provider. Why that's valuable for the other side is be a legacy existing company. You have this valuable data and this service. You don't really know a thing or two about AI or AI payments or how do you make it so that agents can pay you and all this stuff. But you need to be able to make sure you're getting rightfully paid for the products that you've built that people can access. We make it easy for them to access your product through us, and then we just remit you exactly what you're owed. So we just help everybody make this stuff simple. No new requirements, no new understanding. If you have APIs, you can work with Lava.
Love it. So, okay, so on the one side, if I'm building, and this is me every day, I'm trying out all kinds of AI products and I'll push them to the absolute limit until they're like, oh, you're going to need, this requires a pro package.
Yeah.
So in this case, I could actually go in through Lava where I could just kind of max it out for like 2 or 3 days, see what's going on without actually having to commit to the subscription and then canceling it.
Correct. Exactly. Beautiful. And because you get Lava credits to just access services, we're effectively subsidizing your first few. So if you sign up on Lava's website, you'll get $10 of credits to just access models, API services, and all those things. And so we're footing the bill on those. And then I think that's where the magic is. You didn't see like, wait, Claude Code is great, but if you have an agentic gateway with it or an agentic service that gives you access to all these tools, you can do so much more, right? So, one of the things that for example, one of the things that people like to use this for is like for finance, right? You can look at different filings, like Edgar filings, and you can just immediately call them from our gateway. No context needed, no understanding needed. You just go into Claude and say, use the Lava MCP to find this information. Or for folks who are on the blockchain, you can just immediately query it by just saying, use Lava to find what is the price of Solana, and we will do it for you using whatever tools are available. Most of those tools are oftentimes paid. And usually what ends up happening is then Claude spits back to something to you like, you need to go sign up for this tool. And then once you sign up, you need to choose a plan. And then once you choose a plan, you need to copy the secret key. And then you need to add this key back to me. But make sure you do it securely and you don't waste a bunch of time and don't expose it. And then if you're somebody who doesn't even know what exposing it means, you're like, what is all this stuff? So we've just gotten rid of all of that and said, hey, you want to use this to do your best work. And it is very powerful because it can connect all your sources in one, understand how to use them, and get the job done. But you can't do all of the plumbing. So we do the plumbing for you, but we also make sure the person who is offering the service gets what they're rightfully earned. We're helping them convert free traffic into paid traffic.
I love it. But you obviously could see this coming before me because it was probably January where I was like, everything's APIs. And I need a folder where I'm storing all my freaking keys because it's like, it's getting insane. So in this case, like all the API keys, it's pulling from Lava. So you don't have to worry about it. Rather, you're just like kind of in straight workflow. You're just like, hey, Lava, go check out XYZ because I'm putting together this thing. And it's like, cool.
Correct.
And it's only pulling in kind of what usage you need on a unique per basis.
Correct. And the thing that's really powerful about it is there's versions where, let's just say you have your own instance or your own keys that you want to use. You can securely pass them to us, and then we store them securely. So then you never have to fumble around with them ever again. So then you can go to any single service, call that service and connect it, and you just call it through Lava and we'll do it all for you. No passing keys, no anything like that. And so that's actually one of the things that a lot of people who like OpenClaw actually like about our product is they can give our gateway to OpenClaw. And then OpenClaw never needs to manage keys anymore. It just uses Lava to call things and manage the keys.
And it also it limits your exposure to like dropping a mint through OpenClaw because that's kind of the scary thing. You know that like Lava's kind of your budget. You're like, once you hit that $100 threshold, like I can't do anymore.
Yep, exactly. And that's like one of the big things that also folks used us for was like, oh, wait, not only do you guys enable my OpenClaw agent to call every single service in the world, it's a literal natural budget. It's like what's in the wallet, right? And that was always the primitive that we thought was really important was like, a lot of services right now are trying to make you learn new things and new ideas, right? Like they want humans to now learn what secret keys are. That makes sense for everybody in the engineering world, but Claude is spanning beyond that. OpenClaw is spanning beyond that. These are things that like humans don't naturally enjoy learning new things. So the more we can make it where it's like, no, I got into Claude, I asked it to set something up. I only had to do one thing and set up one thing, and it had access to all of the main tools I use. That's the powerful thing that we're trying to get to and make sure it's easy for folks to be able to
Yeah.
do.
It just removes all the friction because I mean, what's important
Correct.
now, it's not engineering thinking. So anything that's like
Yeah.
engineering and structure, I want to be thinking like a scientist. I want to be able to iterate
Yep.
and do experiments rapidly and very quickly. And I don't want to be
Yep.
limited by like, oh man, I got to sign up and get a password and like go find the API keys. And
Exactly.
it's awful. Like truly, like it slows you down. And one thing I've been talking about a lot, and I wonder if you can relate to this, is that a part of like AI augmented engineering, there's kind of a depleting feeling to it. Like
Yeah.
when I would spend my days designing, it was like kind of like stimulating and like building and fulfilling. But like after a day of like sitting in Claude Code, I'm like drained. And
Yeah.
I've really
Yeah.
and it's not because of lack of enthusiasm. I mean, it's incredible. It's like it's so fun, but there's something about it. And so I've been trying to kind of figure out, and I think this might be a part of it, that you know,
Yeah.
Claude Code's moving so fast that when you have to stop and break flow and then go do this thing, and now it's a whole nother
Correct.
authorization and an email and blah 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 blah. Maybe that's contributing to it.
Yeah, and like there's two parts of that, and I'll break them both down. One is like you're talking about something that's actually bigger than just managing keys, which is why am I technically doing less work but feel more exhausted? And then there's another thing here, which is like, why am I doing so much work managing these things? And like, let's go back to the scientific example you talked about and like using it like a researcher, right? Well, oftentimes you want to research something where you need to figure out like what are the sources Claude can actually access, right? And so, with a gateway like Lava, you can already access things like PubChem, right? And that's all of the chemical compound database in the NIH. You can just call it directly from our gateway. No new things to add, no keys to add. You can just call it, right? Or like Open Library, right? Like a library catalog of every single scientifically researched work is right there. And so our goal is to take away that one fatigue for you, where it's like, we're just trying to give your agent superpowers, right? How do we give your agent access to all the things it needs? And then on the other side, make sure people are getting rightfully paid for that. The second piece is why do we feel like we're still using up so much energy? And it's because you went from a really like an individual contributor to a manager. And that is actually a different type of stress. If you think about it, one of the things that Claude empowers you to do is you can have multiple instances running, and you can go do all of those instances in one sitting. You just have multiple terminal windows for it. But the problem with that is now you're not the energy isn't doing the work. The energy is now understanding the context yourself. It's the mental energy of trying to make sure it's doing the right thing. It's in thinking through those problems like a manager as opposed to now like an IC. And that is the kind of step up of what work looks like. You're now a manager of instances as opposed to an IC working on one specific narrow project at a time. And I think that's a lot of why we kind of feel that exhaustion sometimes at the end of a day of working with these tools. Technically, they did so much work for us. And, we're still like, oh my God, why am I so tired after hitting enter all day or those things? And I think you're completely
Hovering
right.
over 1 and 2.
Dude, 1 and 2, which one do I do? And then for some people, they already have dangerously skip on, so they're not even doing that part.
This episode is brought to you by a dangerous idea. It's called reading, specifically the AI for Founders newsletter. 47,000 founders strong now, and it's the good stuff. No top 10 AI tools that will change your life written by someone who doesn't ship product. It's just real breakdowns of what's actually working in AI. Who's raised, who failed, who pivoted, and which founders quietly built $1 million in ARR while everyone else was arguing on X. It's written for people building with AI. Every week you get tactical frameworks, unfair advantages, breakdowns of real companies, and the occasional existential question about whether your startup is intelligent or just well-branded. It's free, it's sharp, it might mildly offend your current workflow. Go to aiforfounders.co and subscribe before your competitor does. Because the only thing worse than being replaced by AI is being replaced by a founder who reads. That's the newsletter at aiforfounders.co. Now back to the show. And a part of it too is just like, I totally agree with you. You know, it's like, okay, I can do so much. So a lot more needs to go into like, what am I going to do? Because I'm going to get deep and then be like, there's some elements. So there's kind of like this like feeling of like, are you sure? All the time kind of holding it with you. You know, similarly, it's kind of like using whisper flow. So like if I'm composing an email, it's so fun, you know, but it's also, there's kind of like a ramp up. So I'm used to like kind of hunting and pecking, which means that I can kind of formulate my thought and my sentences as I'm moving, as opposed to like when you just hit the function key and I'm like, okay, now I'm talking. And it's like, you know, so it's a little bit different to like be like, okay, this is a little bit more spontaneous and I just need to start talking. So I think there's like something similar that when I'm working on a project, I'm like, okay, this is going to take me 6 weeks. So I know I can kind of move the ship slowly and kind of massage it as we're going, as opposed to 6 weeks. Now it's 6 minutes and it's like, okay, we got to have this point in the right direction right now. So a part of that might also be kind of like reverse spotlight bias, you know, where I also have a feeling of like, I'm the last to know everything. Yeah. So I'm like, oh my gosh, Lava, this is so cool. But everybody already knows about Lava except me.
Yeah. Well, that's actually an interesting thing. Like there's this FOMO like that people feel right now. And like to anybody listening, like if you're just trying to figure this stuff out for the first time, you're not behind. Like truly, if you're listening to this podcast, you're not behind. And you got to remember, social media is excellent at putting the thing in front of you that feels like it's like everyone knows. That's just because it's gotten 100 likes. But like if we zoom out here and there's hundreds of millions of people in the United States and billions of people in the world, you're not behind. And so, you know, I think there's a lot of like, Ryan, to your point, like a lot of panic around like, am I behind? Do I not know these things? And it's like, you know, you can get up and running so quickly, and like people forget that most institutions still have not implemented some form of actual, like when people say their organization is using AI, they literally just mean right now that they've asked questions to ChatGPT or Claude. Like they don't mean a lot of these deeper things that we've been talking about on the podcast about how do I like actually stop running my day-to-day from like all these different app points like Slack and Notion and Gmail and just do it all from Claude Code. No one's talking about, like that's not most people. And so, you know, I think you're completely right, which is like there's this like impending feeling of like if you don't know the latest cutting edge thing, you're behind. And the answer is you're not. But the big thing is how do you make sure you approach this stuff in a way that doesn't feel so daunting? And that's what we're obsessed with, is like there's just two very obvious big problems at the same time, which is that existing solutions need to figure out how to make their products very easy to use from what is now a new interface to do it, which is like Claude Code, Claude Cowork, Claude Desktop, all of those things. And secondly, how do they make it so that they still are getting the value out of it? But from the reverse side, how do you make it approachable? Right? It's so powerful, but how do you slim it down and make it approachable for you? And that's really what we're on a mission to do. And a lot of that is just like, even knowing how to ask the first question. Like I'm curious for you, how did you get into how did you actually build your workflows? Like, how did you get into it?
Well, through curiosity and experimentation and through this paralyzing feeling that I'm behind. You know, it's actually really encouraging to hear you say that. You know, I think the tone of the country, as far as, you know, our corner of the nerd universe, is I feel like I'm behind. And, you know, I feel very fortunate that I get to talk to Mitchell and guys like you every single day and have great conversations and figure out what's going on. And I still need to be reminded that like, it's not too late. You're not behind. Like, just keep moving. And I have 4 terminal instances open and I'm just ripping all day long, you know, so that's for me. Now, I also, because I'm putting out tons and tons of content, like a lot of friends and people reach out to me and they're like, hey man, I like what you're doing. This is what I'm doing. I feel behind. That is the tone. So for you, I know that like you on the cutting edge of this stuff, and I know for a fact you feel like you're behind. So what do you do to kind of remedy that feeling inside yourself? Do you take deep
Yeah.
breaths? Are you doing
Yeah.
push-ups in between phone calls? What's going on?
Yeah, man. Well, I do. I try to work out every day at night. Me and a couple teammates, we just go to the gym at 8 p.m. every day. We get a sweat in and we come back to the office.
It
So
helps.
that's one. Your health is important. Two, sometimes just hop off the keys. Like take a day off of social media, is usually one of the really good ones. And then you recognize, wait a minute, like life is good. And then the third one is, it's really one of the systems that we've built up here as an organization is it is an expectation for us to share what we are like, what has helped us use tools better. So I think the best teams and organizations, they don't really set goals, they set systems. And the biggest system right now is actually knowledge share. We're in the early stage and tools change so much. They do change often, but like you don't want to just necessarily always use the thing that is the newest piece because per everything in the world, it might have bugs, it might be broken. And also, when you're building something, especially something that we'd call production ready, you can't really afford for it to break for your users. You can't expose their data in an unsecure way. There's things you actually have to do properly. But what we do oftentimes is as teammates are experimenting and are encouraged to experiment and do new things, they share their winnings back and they share their learnings back. And then what we do is effectively, once a week, we are like, well, what have we learned? What have we changed? How do we add that to core files and memory pieces that allow our whole organization to by default use something? So it's not you can choose to use something or not. It's like we have now implemented this into the defaults. So whether that's the MD files, whether that's like, hey, we actually don't use for example, like here at Lava, everyone works from command line. Like if you're someone who's like, no, like I want to write my messages in Slack and I want to type my Notion docs by hand and like I want to like do my emails by hand and I want to do all these things not in like the central terminal. We're like, hey, like that's not actually how we do things here. And we know that's going to be a learning curve up front, but it's also because we want you to use our own product. And so that's like a very important thing is you got to set a system and that system makes it less daunting because you then get this like hive mind of thing. For folks who are hobbyists or working on their own though, the biggest thing I would say is like find a couple folks who you actually think are very interesting, follow them on X or LinkedIn or whatever they're on, and just like follow those people. Like get a knowledgeable like reference that you think is pretty good at this stuff, and then just try out the things that they suggest is probably the simplest way to do it.
You're hearing that, sign up for the newsletter at aiforfounders.co because you'll find products like
Mhm.
Lava every single week.
Exactly. Coming to you hot off the presses.
Amazing. Okay. I love this. Now, a part of feeling like you're the last to know
Yeah.
is largely the terrible thing about that is that there is so much to know, and that when you're trying to think about products and solutions and you're tackling different things, if you don't know what you don't know, then you can't even expand your consciousness to have that
Yeah.
kind of information. So let's just not say consciousness, but let's just say data points. Now you mentioned
Yeah.
some really cool APIs that you can query. So what are some other ones? Like what are some data sources that maybe I've never even thought about that with Lava are now
Yeah.
available to me?
Yeah, I mean, like, there's so many. Like, we think about it almost by use cases internally, and many different ones. Like, if you're doing go-to-market work, you can enrich data with Apollo. If you are needing to do neural web searches, we have Exasearch that's native. If you need to obviously access LLMs and models, every single LLM and model is now accessible to your agent. So, like, let's say you want to use Claude Code as your base coding agent but you want to quickly consult with GPT 5.4, but you don't have any set up. You can now say, hey, Claude, actually ask this question to GPT 5.4, and you guys can deliberate on it. You can do all of that directly from our product. So we really think about it by use cases, right? Go to market is one of the really, really big ones that a lot of people like to use our product for. So how do I use this product to send emails, draft like follow-ups, enrich contacts, do pipelines and store them. A lot of people do that through our gateway. Finance is another pretty popular one right now. We have a lot of different financial tools. Um, and I think that's one that we've seen kind of continue to grow, and it's because we have a lot of different like data sources. So I think I mentioned like Edgar before. We have like the BLS data, a lot of the things that like you're oftentimes going to be using as an investor. We even have
PitchBook.
prediction markets. Pardon me? Yeah,
PitchBook.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And so it's like those are the things that we really like to do, and even tools like Frankfurter, where you can get currency rates in real time and exchange rates in real time. Like we have a lot of different things like that. And one of the things that's pretty clean is you can literally just download the Lava MCP and literally just ask the question, what are all the tools you have for finance? And it will literally spit them out, right? Oh, we have Alchemy and Dune for crypto/blockchain. We have Polymarket, we have Kalshi, we have, all of these different places where you can get data. Yahoo Finance, like we have all of those pieces of information. So now instead of you having to fetch and do things, you can just call them directly from your Claude Code agent. And, the value on the other side is we're just trying to help you. And as we see more and more of that traffic, what we do is, we just work with the provider to say, hey, like these are your APIs and your services. If you want me to help you monetize on top of those, right? We can do that on your behalf, right? Like we can do all of that through our gateway. And so that is the big thing we do. And like that's what we enable you to do. It's because it's already priced in, and because all of these folks who are using our product already have wallets. It's actually very, very easy to do that for our customers, both end users and the merchants and service providers that are sharing their services.
Amazing. Okay. So something like this, I've got the terminal open. I hit whisper flow. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, what I want you to do is pull Mitchell's headshot from Crunchbase. I want you to do iterations of a sketch design. Give me one from ChatGPT. Give me two from Gemini. I want you to
Yeah.
go into Descript, add 20% compression to his voice. I want you to check PitchBook for his leading investor. Give a little summary of that when you're doing the show notes and incorporate that from the transcription from Descript.
Exactly. And so what really actually happens there on the back end is like, we take your query, we look at that query, and we say, okay, so he mentioned Crunchbase, he said voice notes, that's probably going to need to use Retail or 11 Labs, we got that covered. And then it breaks down all of the pieces of that, then sequences it for you and says, well, the order we need to do this in is A, B, and C, and D. And then it says, okay, all of these services we have, let's just say we already have in memory that you prefer to use 11 Labs for voice services. We'll do that and we'll break it down. Or you use Retail for translation, we'll break that down, and then it does that automatically for you. So instead of you having to say, oh, well, I don't have an 11 Labs account or a Retail account or all of those pieces, it actually just goes end to end. You were able to one-shot that thing that you weren't able to do before because of the fact that, oh, I didn't have all the keys. I need to go sign up for the service. Claude got blocked because it's a paid thing, right? Well, you already have a wallet through Lava. You've already have your credits. You can always recharge and add more. And then we also, we're handling the API payments for you, right? Because for the service provider, we're already paying. They're already charging us for what you're doing. So it's clean because it essentially allows both parties to both list their services and other people to use their services. It's that simple.
So cool, man. It's so cool. And it's basically, and even if you have accounts, you don't have to log in and toggle tabs and go back and forth and copy
Yeah.
paste and blah, blah, blah.
Correct.
It's just, you
Correct.
one shot the whole thing to your whole tech stack, and then it delivers it back in one place,
And if you think about it, like what are we doing? Like what is the point of like, we're trying to move up a level of abstraction, right?
Yeah.
Like natural language is the best form of coding. Natural language is the best form of working, right? Like when I feel connected to you, it's probably because we have some ability to connect through language. Oh, I learn a little bit about what you care about. I learn about what you understand. And the more we move towards that as just the purest thing and not having to workshop and move tools around and do all those things, that is where we need to get. And our job is to make sure that for the average person who kind of like we were talking about feels behind, it's like, no, you're not behind. And actually, we actually now have the version that's probably the cleanest for you all to use these services. And it's like, so actually, you get a second mover advantage here. Everyone like, Ryan and Mitchell ran in and were like had to do all this annoying stuff, and then now there's all these services that make this easier for you.
Yeah,
Like,
we have
I'm
a
curious, actually, for you, I was going to say, what's one of the most annoying things you've ever had to set up with AI?
boy, the most annoying. I think it's really probably just the daily toggle back and forth. I'm always looking for
Yeah,
tools that's like predictively telling me, it's like, dude, I know you're going back to the spreadsheet. Do you just want me to automate that? Like
yeah,
predictive automations and all the toggle swapping. So like
yeah,
I'm already thinking about Lava just simply for podcast production because
yeah,
all the tools make it very fast. But if I could just have my prompt that is just like, or it's a skills to be like, I every
yeah.
time I stop hit recording, it just automatically produces
Does that?
everything. And
Yeah,
then, in an hour I come back, I'm like, that's beautiful. Commit, you know?
I
I
love it.
mean,
Well, so I need to ask you then, like, what are all the tools you're using so we can make sure they're in the gateway so you're ready to go?
yeah, the big one for the podcast production is Descript. Do you guys use
Yeah.
have Descript?
We don't yet, but that's actually a huge one. Like, and the other thing too is I think the thing that's pretty valuable is so long as there's an API, we can do it, right?
Yeah.
I think that's like the powerful thing. I think right now we're in a very interesting world where a lot of people are trying to figure out how to give agents money and cards and all of these things in order to enable them to pay for things. And we actually have a different approach. We're like, usually people don't want to do all that stuff. If you just make it really easy where it's like I handle the payment and like yes, I'm getting billed by Descript or whoever that is, everybody else gets to just keep doing what they're doing. We're the ones who help you use your APIs and make them agent friendly, and then we can do the rest. And then Ryan gets to then just say, I created a skill, and the skill already understands that it uses Lava to call Descript, and then it's that easy. So
Yeah.
so the answer
That's
is
such a
yeah,
good
we'll be
point.
on it. We'll have it by the end of the day.
It's such a good point, I mean, a couple of things come to mind. One, this is also very encouraging for people that feel like they're behind because to that point, I had to bunt to get on first base. I had to steal second base, and
Yeah.
somehow through an error, I'm on third. You can
Yeah.
enter the game on third base right now, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So that's
That's
really
a good
exciting.
that's a great way to put it. It's like, yeah, we had to fight and claw. We still haven't even gotten a run in, but we had to fight and claw to get to third. And like now you just hit a triple and it was
Yeah.
easy, right?
It's
Yeah.
no problem.
Yeah.
So that's cool. And I really like your point too. And I've spoke to folks that are building kind of like, blockchain enabled like wallets. So and the use case is always like, oh, if you want to book your travel thing, it can pay for you. Or if you
Yeah.
want to order DoorDash, it could pay for you. But for me, I'm like, well, one, I cook, and two, I'm the only travel I do is hunting and fishing, and you're not buying me tickets to that. It's like that's
Tell me
not going
about
to
it.
really help me. But if it
Tell me about it.
removes barriers in my workflow and makes everything much easier, so like literally, I stop recording and all the assets are ready to go. I mean, that is incredible. Like truly,
Yeah.
like that's the world I'm waiting to exist, but with AI. It's like it understands me, and then I can subtly move and change things with different skills, and it's
Yeah.
butter.
Yeah. And like you're bringing out a good point too, is like in some ways, although people forget this, we're still in the toy phase. Like people
Yeah,
are still trying to like build stuff for problems that don't really exist yet. Like I still really don't need an agent to buy me a shirt. Like I still need to look at the shirt and see if I
I'm good.
like the shirt. And then by the time I see that I like the shirt, I'm on Shopify's webpage or I'm on the merchant's webpage. And guess what? They probably already have my card saved on file. Like so a lot of these things but people are still trying to like add new things that we don't necessarily need yet. And again, like I think, if people take away anything from this podcast is number one, just dive in. Like it's and you're not as behind as you think. And then number two is just, at the end of the day, Ryan, I think you maybe made the most golden point. Screw having me on the podcast. I think you made the most golden point, which is that the beauty of AI is that companies are trying to make it easier and more accessible to use. So long as you're just staying abreast of like what's making it easier to use, that's probably the most important thing you can do, right? And that's really it. It's like how are AI teams trying to make this actually fit back on the way people work today is going to probably be the real unlock. And I think it's a very astute point. I think that's probably how this is going to end up looking.
Let's take this to the other side of this marketplace too,
Yep.
because where I see everything going is people are creating agents, and there's going to be a marketplace for agents. Now,
Yeah.
the use case I'm really excited about right now is podcast production, right? So it's like
Mm.
this, I feel like Lava could really, really help and speed
Yep.
me up. Now,
Yep.
I have an advantage if I'm developing an agent for podcast production
Yep.
because I made 500 podcast episodes. So it's like
Yep.
I know what I want and what Spotify wants and what YouTube wants and what Apple wants. There, all these things go into that. So that's just to say I have domain expertise. So when I create this agent, it's going to be sick. And so once I have it kind of polished into place, it's like, okay, this is working great for me. Why not bring this to the market? So let's say, okay,
Yeah.
now my podcast production agent, I want to bring and give to other people. Like here's the stack, blah, blah, blah. I license it
Yep.
through Lava. So now with Lava, I can basically, if it's API enabled, then I can sell it to other people for a per use basis, the way that I was using all the Lava tools as well. Is that kind of how it works?
Correct. And you can also, if you want to, so think about it like this. Let's just say you have a model where somebody can call let's actually really break this down to what agents really are.
Yeah.
They're just chained calls on top of APIs, right? And then we then expose them to an end user in the form of a CLI or an MCP. But really all it is there's APIs. We build layers to help people understand those APIs, and then we sell them that. And then agents then use that understanding layer to call APIs. That is really what is headless SaaS. That's really what all of that is effectively doing. And so, Ryan, you're making this agent that is literally doing that, and then you're selling it off as this package of your API calls that someone else can use in their day-to-day from Claude Code. And let's just say you want to enable them to do 10 actions before they then have to pay you a subscription, right? And so those 10 actions are just, at the end of the day, API calls that are getting counted on a counter. And then after a certain amount of them, then you want to actually have what is effectively a paywall of some sort, whether that's an email, whether that's a hard block, like whatever you want to do. What Lava does to make that very easy for you is we've already tracked all of that usage per person. And then when they hit that paywall, we make it easy for you to monetize on top of that. And we can do that by just blocking the traffic. Now, one of the things that make that very powerful is there's a trillion ways to do this already in the more traditional human billing sense. You can go use Stripe and set up a plan and count things and do all of that. For an agent that is actually your new pie, which you would love to monetize, somebody finds you through a Claude Code agent and they start doing this, well, there's a whole freemium problem, right? How are you, now you're going to, they have to now go to your website, sign up, start integrating from there, or were they able to the agent be able to just autonomously do what it needed to do without interrupting a human because it notices, oh, wait, you already have access to this service in Lava. And then once you hit the limit, we just ask you, well, if you want to keep using Ryan's service, you have to actually pay $20 a month for it. And then because you already have a wallet, you add $20 into your wallet and we just remit that back to you, Ryan. That's it. And so now you didn't have to learn how to make agents pay on the blockchain. You didn't have to learn any new primitives. You just built APIs. You didn't expose those APIs to agents, or actually, in matter of fact, you didn't even need to do it. We did it for you. And now people are using your product. That is the magic of how we build Lava. And the real pitch there isn't just for the AI forward companies like yours. It's for the legacy company. If you're a legacy company and you're trying to figure out right now, how the hell do I monetize my service? And how do I start converting all these agents who are using all my data? Well, the way you do that is you put your data on a service like ours where we can securely manage the flow of that traffic and also convert those usage into payments. And that's what we do.
So cool. And there's like an arbitrage play here too. I could see if you're a user and like a seller, if you're on both
Yep.
sides of the table, then basically you've got your Lava balance and like, okay, I'm spending $10 a month on Lava, but I'm earning $30 from Lava on the backside.
Correct.
So as you're spinning up tools, then you're not kind of
Correct.
like reconciling like, dang, I'm spending $500 a month on all these AI tools. Like, what's the return on that? It's almost It's right there in the Lava
right
dashboard.
there. And you see exactly how much it's costing you. So the whole point of this is just like, we're trying to turn what was your cost center into your revenue center.
Yeah.
And we do that by on both sides. If you're just a user of tools, it doesn't cost you to get up and running. If you're building a product, you can track everything that's happening in your product. You can label it so you can understand the cost of it, and then you can serve it out. You can then charge whatever price you want to on top of it. And we do all of that for you in one fell swoop. And you can
Amazing.
do all of that directly from Claude Code. You can also do it if you want to the old-fashioned way. You can go to www.lava.so, sign up, and do all that. Lava.so, I shouldn't say Lava.so. And you can do all of that. But our goal is just to make this very simple for you. And like, we understand how people are building things these days, and we just want to make sure we're aligned with that.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like, my assumption that there's going to be an agents marketplace. I was behind, and you were on top of it. But like, yeah, this is exactly what is the necessary step as people are getting, more and more nuanced with kind of their agent builds, and they, you can find very specific use cases. And I think that, a year ago, people were kind of talking about that like, hey man, if you've got siloed data and you have like domain expertise around a very tiny thing, like this is where it's going to be, the solutions are going to arise, because even if you have 1,000 customers, like the value of what you're providing is going to be huge. And if you just tee it up for them, you're like, boom, there you go.
Yep. And again, you already have in that aspect, you already have the vault. You already have the walled vault. What you just need to do is you're just trying to figure out, how do I expose this to an agent and get paid for it? Yeah. And the answer to that is like, well, there's two parts of that, and we solve both of those for you as a company. It's like, one, you need to make sure it's metered and measured so that they only get a certain amount, and two, they need to pay for every amount that they get, whether that's me paying on their behalf for you, or that's them paying me and I'm remitting it back to you. However you want that to happen, you need to get paid for what's rightfully going through. And you need to be able to see how much usage is happening and how much is happening in real time. And that's what we really solve for the service provider or the startup or the company, whoever that is, that wants to list services. But we see that there's two things, and there's a very clean way to make this work for both parties without having to learn a bunch of new stuff.
Cool. How's the remittance paid out? Is that an API call to my bank?
We do old fashioned. We get a connection to your bank, and then we have a ledger for you, because everyone's just got a wallet, and then you can just cash out your wallet like you would with any other service. So very, very simple. Just
I
almost
love
like you have a Venmo balance or a Cash App balance, and that's somebody, imagine it like this. Someone's Venmoing you over time. That balance is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We have a saying, it's called being Venmo rich, and now you're Venmo rich. And then you say, you know what, let me cash this out to my actual bank. It's the same thing. And then of course, for for merchants, we have a pretty, really, really, really ironclad record of payment, which makes it actually easy for you to do just like any types of financial operation, to understand and do all your accounting and all those pieces as well. So like that's the other big thing there, is that like a lot of tools weren't really built for like how to like do rev rec on like usage based pricing and like more of this incremental based pricing. And that's another thing that we try to nail for our customers.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's worth the price of payment if I just never have to touch Stripe again. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Tell me about it. And like, this is like, I think that's the thing that we love about this, is it doesn't actually compete with Stripe. Like, if you want to keep billing humans, great. Like, that's the way to do it. I think the big thing we're saying is, hey, there's an agent that's trying to use your site right now. You have no ability to convert that agent who's currently right now trying to use your traffic into revenue. That's what our goal is. So that's actually just an additional revenue stream for you. It's not necessarily competing with your existing customer base. It doesn't have to. Like, if you want to use us, of course you can use us for that as well. We'd love to work with you. But we also can help you just with converting more users. And who doesn't want more money on their product? And that's really what we try to focus on for that as well. It's like, our goal is to try to turn what has been like your biggest problem into your biggest advantage. Right now, a lot of companies, especially legacy companies, are like, my biggest problem is that people are scraping my stuff and then they're like trying to resell it, and I have no ability to fight back. And what we try to do is say, hey, like, well, a lot of that is because you're trying to vault this off, and like, you're doing that because you have no way to make the agent pay for the thing. And so if you actually put it in a secure store, right, agents are going to access this information a lot, you then have actually a very secure pipeline for them to be able to go and pay you for it. And then we make sure you're getting paid every single time they're taking a piece of information. And what are the pricing rules around that? They're the same as what they are for your APIs. And that's really what we've been able to build. And we make it very easy for you to be able to adopt.
Sounds like you might be talking about Apollo. I wonder if you have the capability to say like, okay, I don't want the subscription and all the things from Apollo. What I want to be able to do is filter Apollo's database and just get the top 12 examples on that query from that thing and bring that in and only pay for that. Is that a possibility?
So the big thing with tools like Apollo is the one thing you have to make sure you want to do is there's a lot of like, a lot of people right now who are we'll just scrape all these other tools and then we'll resell all their information. I think that like can get you a lot of usage right now. I think that in the long run, it's not very on the side of making a marketplace that's fair for both sides. So what we do is it's like per provider. So what we do is we will always make sure we're kind of doing the things that we know are like already usage based and pay as you go, and we'll make sure those are available in our existing product. And then like if like a service provider like Apollo then wants us to also be able to give people access or convert them to their like paid tiers and things like that, we just try to make sure we work with them and make that very clean and easy.
Yeah.
And so then it's like the other thing too is like we actually have if you go to our website, you can actually go and request us to do your APIs for you. So it's like, let's say you just want to like make your APIs agentic. You can just go to Lava.so, log into your dashboard, go to storefront, and you can just request us to do your APIs for you. It's that simple. And then we'll go and do them for you. We'll let them know when they're ready. And then you claim your records, and then you can see all of the data that's flowing through, and you can start getting paid on it. So
cool. Man, you said Venmo rich. I always keep $100 in my Venmo wallet. You know why?
To be Venmo rich.
Well, it's also to rub it into my son because we have $5 bets that go back and forth all the time. And honestly, I probably owe. We never really pay out. It's just, I bet you $5. I'm usually losing that bet these days. But he bet me $5 that I couldn't run a 12-minute mile. And I was like,
that's wild.
I was like, dude, 12 minutes. I was like, bro, I do yoga like every day. He's like, this is not cardio. I'm like, dude, okay. That's insulting. I'm not doing it for a bet. He's like, I'll bet you $100. And I was like, let's go to the track right now. Went to the track.
Say less.
I did a 7.5-minute mile and almost died, but I made him pay me. Now, typically I wouldn't make him like pay on the bet, but I was like, no, man, you need to learn a lesson that you can never count your dad out. Okay.
Yeah.
So now whenever like he's like questioning me on some stuff, I'll pull up that Venmo balance and be like, oh, need I say more?
Wait, question for you. So did you rub salt in the wound by taking him out and getting him like a burger at like, I don't know, like Shake Shack or something afterswards?
Oh yeah.
Like, oh man, I still have money left over from
totally.
I appreciate you paying for this meal for me.
I think we got like a smoothie or something. But yeah, Mrs. Estes was there too, so I want to make sure she witnessed this. And it was funny because he was like, I'll run with you. So he was on the inside of the track as I'm running. And he's like, you're not going to make it. You're not going to make it after like the first lap. He was like, looked at the pace. He's like,
oh no. Let me get that. Let me fire up the keys on that Venmo request. It's funny. My dad always, I never bet my dad. And the reason why is I remember when I was young, I bet him once and I absolutely lost. And he's like, I only bet on things I know I'm going to win. And and that was the lesson I learned from him. So then that was it. That was it for me of betting my pops. It was just like, it's often not a winning battle. I think it's actually so funny too. It's like, not like outside of just all this AI stuff. It's like, it's just so cool and interesting to see so many spaces take off. I think one of the things that's been interesting to see, and it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. There's a lot of regulation things are going to still come down the pipe with AI, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens also in this prediction market space as well when you're talking about betting. It's one of the things that people call from our gateway a lot. Like they call Kalshi and Polymarket and pieces like that, and it's going to get into an interesting point of like spirit of the law versus letter of the law, and like what are these things allowed to do. But it's going to be interesting to see how that shapes out in the next couple of years when it comes to things like, bets or predictions and things of that nature.
I like the prediction on Polymarket, that they took off, I think it was last week, which was the probability of nuclear war.
Let's take that one off.
Come on, man, you're bumming me out.
Yeah, I know. But I guess isn't that what the doomsday clock is?
Yeah, that's true. That's always ticking. So why
Yeah,
not?
it is, you know.
It'd be like you just can you can you can go out in the mushroom cloud with a big grin on your face. Oh, I made
Yeah.
$100.
Yeah, we made $100, but we're on the side. We're on the side. I'll take the under. It's not gonna happen. We're gonna be able to learn a lot of new stuff. Abundance, 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 and you know, we humans figure stuff out all the time. So,
Yeah.
well, I'll root for the side of humanity on that one.
Me too. Mitchell, this has been such a fun conversation. I really appreciate it. Congratulations on your awesome business.
Thank you so much. And Ryan, thank you so much for having me on the pod. And everyone listening, remember, you're not that behind. If you do want to try to learn how to catch up a little bit on the end user side, just go to Lava.so and get signed up. And you can install our MCP and get running and give your Claude Code Codex instance superpowers. And if you're a merchant or a business service provider wanting to make sure you can actually capitalize on agentic traffic and upsell that into the existing APIs and services you already have, you can also get signed up on Lava.so, or you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn. All right. Thank you guys so much. That's enough of my pitch there. The big takeaway, take a breather, get a workout in, get back on Claude Code, learn some new stuff. You're not that behind.
Words of wisdom that I needed to hear today. Mitchell, I appreciate it. Before we get out of here, I want to give a quick shout out to St. Jude's Children's Hospital, which I know is near and dear to your heart. I'll link to them in the show notes. I'll have a link to your LinkedIn and Lava, of course, in the show notes as well. Thank you so much, sir.
Awesome. Take care.
You are about to spend anywhere from $100,000 to $300,000 on your kid's college education, and that's not a small bet. And right now, there's a very real chance that they graduate and can't find a job, not because they weren't smart enough, not because they didn't work hard enough, but because the job market changed and nobody told them. Employers are hiring AI native candidates, people who don't just know their field, but know how to work with AI at a professional level. And most colleges are not teaching this, not even close. AInativestudent.com is the program that fills that gap. It takes high school and college students and teaches them how to actually think and work with AI the way top companies expect on day one, so your investment in their degree actually pays off. You're already paying for tuition, housing, textbooks. This is the one thing that actually makes it all worth it. Go to AInativestudent.com because a diploma is a starting point. Being AI native is what gets them hired. That's AInativestudent.com.